guys, Happy New Year. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Piso and I'm really glad that you're here. Happy New Year, guys. Happy 2025. I hope you guys are all doing well. I know it's been a minute. This is my first video in 2025, but it's going to be one of many videos in 2025. So I just wanted to start the year off by doing this story time video. It's a really fun video, and it's just I'm just going to share with you guys a little bit about my early years in Liberia and how I grew up, and share a little bit about where I grew up, and you know, just little knickknacks of little things. So just lay back. Welcome into 2025 video. All right. And so where I wanted to start out at is I was born in Monrovia, Liberia. I was born in Sincor, right behind the single shopping center, what used to be the super single shopping center back then, not too far from Lutheran school in Sincor. So my mom was in labor with me, and she was taken to the hospital, but then they sent her home and say it wasn't time yet. And so by the time she got back home, she couldn't go by the hospital. It was time for me to come out. So I was born in a house and right behind single shopping center where they were living at the time, and that's where I was born. And so my early years were the first few years we lived in our family yard in on the Oro, my grandma's yard on the Oro, and it was, you know, we had a lot of family around. I think I don't have too many memories of there because I was very young, but there was a lot of family around, uncles, aunties, cousins and stuff, and so so that's where we stayed for, I believe, up until I was maybe 2-3 years old. Okay, and then we moved to Congo Town, and where we moved in Congo Town is the first place we moved at is where I'm going to be showing you here. On Tubman Boulevard there was a shop, and behind the shop they had little apartments, like a room and a bathroom and stuff like that. So that's where my mom rented, and that's where we were for our first, that's where we stayed, our first place in Congo Town. And so it's right not far from the Zone 3 police station. And so we stayed there for a little bit, and then we moved further up, maybe up, I think we stayed there for about a year. At this time, I think I was about maybe 3 years old, 3 to 4 years old. Then we moved further up Congo Town to where is now the ministerial complex around that area. And so we moved in this, we call it Ma Esther Yard. And so anyway, we moved there for a little bit. My mom was renting a place there for a short while. Now the area, like I said, right, we used to call it back then Susan Berry area. But now for context, so you guys know, it's where the ministerial complex is in Congo Town, that area, the Susan Berry area. So we stayed there for a short time. And then we moved further, and then we moved down the hill more, where we call closer to down the hill, or in the midway. Back then, Congo Town Back Road, what we used to call Congo Town Back Road, was the dusty road behind where the Zone 3 was, and the road that stretched all the way back there. Now everybody calls Congo Town Back Road where Ala Lagoon and D Calabash, that's where it's called Congo Town Back Road. But back in the day when we were growing up, Congo Town Back Road was actually called, that's where we called it, behind where the ministerial complex is, leading up that way, coming towards Oro way. And so we moved further up, and we actually stayed, we rented a place in the apartment, I don't say underground, but the basement apartment of the Willis's house for many years. And so I have a lot of memories of there growing up, and that's where I actually have a lot of memories of Congo Town growing up. And so we would play right in the intersection there where the road comes in from Tubman Boulevard, and then where it would like split to go up the hill and down the hill. So right there under the street light, and I will show you the picture of the street light here because I've taken the picture of it recently when I've been doing my trips back and forth to Liberia. So we would play under the street light, and that was the place we would do a lot of games, the NAFO, Husker, all kind of stuff, kickball, everything we played right there in that intersection. And right in that spot is actually where my mom had a shop. My mom opened a shop right there, and here's the shop. I will show you the shop here. And that shop actually is still there. It's not a shop anymore. It's been added to like a little room here, a little partition there. So, but this is the building where you see the green. That's where the shop, the section of the shop was. And so we hang out a lot in front of the shop and in front of the street light and playing. Me and my friends that grew up in Congo Town. That's where we would go to each other's house after school, walk around. That's back then, it's just what we did. We come from school, we go to each other's house, we eat with each other. We go to this person's house, we eat their food after school. Then you come to your house, you eat and you come and eat your own food. Then you go play, you do your homework. Then so you know your money coming from work now. Then you run home and go take back and pretend like you've been doing your homework the whole time. Anyway, so those are the kind of memories that I have of growing up in Liberia. Then after the Willis's house, during the time that the Willis house, my mom got land and she started building our house not too far down. So when you almost going down the hill towards where the Nigeria house is, the German, what we used to call the German Empire, that's where the buses would turn around, but right on top of the hill. So we started building our house, I believe in 1980, around that time. And then another house finished in 1980. So we moved there in 1980. And so that's where we were until, and this is the house now. I'll show you the house. This is what it is now. This is not what the house looked like before the war. So the house was broken down. The war brought the house down. And so after the war, it was rebuilt. And this is where it looks like, what it looks like now. And so we moved there, like I said, around 1980. And we stayed there up until we came to the States. Well, my mom, they continue to stay there. But I left in 1986 to come to the States in 1986. And that's when I left Liberia. But while we're over here at the at our house that we have built, we had so many wonderful time. This house directly in front of our house that you see with the white fence, that whole area there was the plum bush. Everybody used to call it plum bush, and it was just a lot of tall mango trees, what we call plum trees. So everybody, rainy season time, will run in the plum bush to go look for plum. If they used to fall, everybody used to come to that place there to go get plum. And so we were fortunate to have it right opposite our house. So everybody would go there after school, go look for plum. Coming from school, as people walking down that path, they go in the plum bush to go look for plum. And that plum bush, on the other side of the plum bush, that's where you had Tubman Boulevard. So that's how close we were to the road. So, but we're just on the dusty road that we used to call Kongata Back Road back then. Our house is right there. So you see this dusty road that I'm going to show you. This was going when this way, it was going up the hill. And then this other picture I'm going to show you is going down the hill. And so that's how it was. So everybody, when they're passing, they're going home or coming from school, used to say, yeah, hello. Yeah, hello. Peace, yeah, hello. So everybody would say hello. So we're all to go around the road. So we're speaking all day long. And so those are some of the things that I remember growing up. And then growing up, my mom would come from work. She worked at ELWA Hospital for many years. That's the only place she worked for the whole time I was growing up. And so I went to ELWA Academy. For the most part, well, let me go back. When I started school, we started at Lutheran school. And so for kindergarten through second grade. And then we went to ELWA Academy school, which was the school on the campus of ELWA that were ran by like the missionaries, and that where they sent all of their kids, and also people who it was a private school, people who could afford it, back then they would send their kids there. So we got the tuition kind of discounted because my mom worked at the hospital. And so we were able to go there. We were able to afford it. We were able to go there and go to school. And so I went to EW Academy from second grade all the way to eighth grade until I came to the States. And so that's where we went to school. So my brothers actually left EW. They went to school with me, but they left EWA Academy in after sixth grade. Then they went to St. Patrick's. St. Patrick's. St. Patrick's started at seventh grade at that time, and so they took the entrance and all that stuff. My dad really wanted for them to go to St. Patrick because that's where he went to school. That's where he graduated from. So he wanted his boys to go there. It was St. Patrick, as you guys can remember, those of you remember, it was all boys school. So my brother started going to St. Patrick's in seventh grade, and that's where they stayed up until we came. The goal was now for me to go to convent when I finished ERWA Academy in eighth grade. But then I went and I took convent entrance, and I made the highest in the entrance. I was so proud. Oh my God, I already had friends that were already going to convent. They were and they were waiting for me, and I was going there with newsmen. I had deuced the entrance. So, but just in that time, my dad let us know that it was time for us to go to move to the States. So I never had a chance to go to convent after eighth grade because it was time for us to come to the States. And so that's my my convent interview story right there. And so I was looking forward to go to convent because I was going to bluff, but I never got a chance to go. Anyways. So my time at AW Academy, so what I would do was in Congo Town, I would walk to across the road on Todman Boulevard, take taxi, and then I would take it to AW Junction, and then I would take another taxi from AW Junction to AW. So that's how I went to school. I used to go with my mom up until I was old enough to take taxi by myself. And then I would take the taxi, go on the road, take my taxi, and go to school. And then coming home, because my mom worked on the campus, she worked at the hospital. After school, I would walk to the hospital, eat some food, of course. There was always food. My mom would keep some food for me, eat some food, and then I would take the taxi, get my taxi money, take the taxi back home. And EWA, of course, had the same school system that they have here in the States. So we were done with school in June, and then we would go back in September. So when I was out of school, nobody else was out of school at that time. Now in Liberia, they have that school system, but back then, the school system in Liberia was March to December. So I was the only one out of school doing what would be the summertime here in the States, but what would be rainy season in Liberia. So I would go to Nimba, to my grandpa, and spend that time with my grandpa and my cousin, my auntie Orita, and I enjoyed it so much because I got to go to Nimba to spend some time with them in Nimba because everybody else was going to school at that time in Monrovia. And so I really, really enjoyed that time, and I have some very, very fond memories of that. What else I got to tell you guys about my childhood? There's a picture in here I want to show you guys of me and my little brother, Himian. So this is when I was about, I would say, maybe 5 years old, 6 years old or so. Himian was a baby. And so this is me holding him here on my side. And then I want to insert here another picture of Himian and myself as adults. And I've actually made this picture, one of my cover picture for when family time video. And we were spending some time at my brother's house over here in Minnesota. But this is me and Himian now. So it's so funny. This is me and Himian when we were little baby kids. And then this is a picture of us now. And so, we were cute kids and we're still cute adults now. What else I want to tell you? I think that's about it. I would just probably insert the pictures here as I'm talking, or if I remember, so I would do a lot of the pictures probably towards the end of this video, the ones that I didn't insert in between here. But if you guys can remember your childhood in Liberia and how what people that say normal day Liberia, it was so much fun. I actually took my kids to Liberia when I took them there for the first time, they were younger, you know, and I really wanted them to really see how we grew up, you know, and how kids were playing outside, and, you know, how, you know, kids didn't really need all the devices and all the stuff that they do inside now. We just had a lot of fun just being outside playing. And I believe the first time I took them was, I think 2011, I think, 2010, 2011. And they were actually, they saw the kids play outside, you know, running in the rain and doing all kinds of stuff, like, oh, look at the boy. I'm like, yep, that's what kids do, you know. So it was really nice for them. They actually ended up leaving all their video games in Liberia, their video system in Liberia, because they're like, man, we can get it. I mean, they were so taken aback at, you know, how the kids didn't have a lot of stuff. You know, the kids were, you know, but they were happy. You know, they're happy with, but, you know, the kids were, you know, there was a lot of kids in the neighborhood, a lot of places, you know, who were just, who would, you know, they didn't, you know, parents couldn't afford a game system, all that stuff. So, you know, they would call the kids inside to play the video games, and then they ended up leaving all their video system there. The kids, you know, giving and leaving with their with the kids there, and actually left another system with their cousins, you know, and stuff. And so, you know, it was a. I feel like if you have an opportunity to take your kids to Liberia, I know some people shelter, you know, their kids when they take them home, you know, rightfully so, because, you know, you got to protect yourself and your kids and stuff like that. But also, if you can balance the two and just kind of incorporate your kids to really see, you know, how you grew up and how kids, you know, how they're raised back, or how they, and I know things are different nowadays. The way we grew up, the way things were, I go to Liberia. I've been going back and forth to Liberia since 2006, regularly every year. So for the past 19 years, I believe it'll be 19 years, I've been going to Liberia regularly. And so I see the difference in how we grew up and how the kids are now. It's different. The kids, they grew up way too fast. They're not even into playing with toys. They're not even into, like, you know, the stuff, like, we were older, we were still playing with doll baby and all of that stuff. And nowadays is different. But at least my kids were able to see some of the, you know, ways that we grew up and how things were back home, which I'm really happy about that. I wanted to share that with them, because we always talk about, me and my husband always talk to them about how we grew up, you know, and how, you know, we had a really great childhood, you know, and stuff. And so they're able to see that. Now they've gone back as adults and all of that stuff, but we're glad that we're able to take them home as kids. We took them to Royersville, to where, you know, their dad people are from, and then they spent some time in Conga Town, and they were in Painesville and stuff like that. And so they were able to see all of that. Some pictures in here I want to show you of when the first year I went to Liberia. My two friends that I grew up with, there's some pictures of us in there. There's also a picture of me and my sisters. One of my sisters passed away a few years back, 2020. She's in that picture too. But when I first started going back home, I was so happy to spend so much time with my family, my sisters, and everybody else, you know, and stuff. So I really, really, that's when I just, you know, I was like, wow, I can do that. I can incorporate, you know, coming back home every year or every other year, and still have a life back home. I mean, in the States, and raise my kids. At that time, our kids were younger, so we knew we weren't going home anytime soon, you know. So, but that's when I started planning, and that's when I started, like, you know what, we can do this. You know, me and my husband started talking about what we're gonna do, you know, how we're gonna start building back home and all of that stuff. So that's when they say the Liberia bug bit us very early on. Since when Ellie got into power, we started going home early. I mean, every year, 2006. From then on, it was a done deal. It was a done deal for us. Liberia, my people. No matter. And the first time I went home, I hadn't been back home for 20 years. The first time I went. So now it's going on almost, I've been here in the States almost 40 years. 40. Almost 40 years. And I'm telling you, nowhere beats home. I love being back home. Liberia is my happy place. I always say that. And I feel more at peace, and just I laugh more, I smile more, I feel like I'm more active when I'm home. And so for me, nowhere beats home. And so I think that's it, guys. I know, you know, there's just a little fun video, story time video about my little childhood, little, you know, something here. But Welcome to 2025. Now let's get back to business. We're about to do a lot of videos, a lot of updates are coming up. Now, 2025, let's go. I will see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys are having a really nice week. It's Sunday, and I hope to post this video today. You know, that's why I just want to get it done. Won't do too much editing because I want to post it today. So today is the 19th. It's Sunday, January 19th, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.